Welcome to Wellness Rebranded, the podcast for women ready to redesign their relationship with food, fitness, and feelings.
We are a registered dietitian, a personal trainer, and a mental health therapist. 3 experts, 1 mission.
To help you break free from diet culture, hustle culture, and emotional burnout, let's redefine what wellness really means on your terms.
So today we are flipping the script on something that's often treated like a luxury or a reward. Any guesses what it is? Think about it, think about it.
R-E-S-T?
Rest. Yes. So if you've ever felt guilty for taking a day off, or if your brain has trouble shutting up when you sit still, or if you think hustle is the only way to get results, this episode is for you.
Yes.
So in my opinion, rest has a PR problem.
Agreed?
We've been like glorifying hustle for so long,
Yes.
and rest is seen as something that you earn, but like it's actually essential for us to grow and do well and survive and thrive. I think there's productivity obsession and probably some like internalized shame around
Oh,
rest.
absolutely. How many people feel guilty for resting and feeling that they need to just not do anything that day to bring their body some pause and rest? Yeah.
Yeah. So when I was growing up, I would go hard. Like in high school, I was always doing clubs after school and playing sports. And I had a part-time job eventually. And I had a paper route since I was like 7 until I left for college. So I was very busy. And one thing I noticed is that every February, like clockwork, I would have some little virus that would just take me down for like a week. And I very much believe that that was like my body being like, girl, you need to chill. You're not resting. You need to chill.
Mm-hmm.
And during that week, I would lay there in my bed. I would watch movies in my mom's bed on her TV, and my mom would, make me special like soups and all sorts of things, just really take care of me. And I loved it. And I felt so regenerated and rejuvenated after
Mm-hmm.
having that week of like forced rest and recovery.
Yeah, because it's so important. I mean, our bodies are like anything else that needs to restore, right? That needs to recharge, but we don't treat it that way. I always say that we would never leave our cars like on the yellow light that says empty or the change oil light for a while because I get like really anxious that then I'm gonna burn the engine or whatever it happens to a car when you don't change the oil. And my husband is always like, "Don't ever do that. You damage the car." Like we would never do it with a car, but we do it with ourselves.
All the time.
Just push, push, push to see
Yep.
how long we're gonna last before crashing. You
You
know.
can probably hear in my voice that I sound a little bit sick. Yep, I've got strep again. And I do think that this is still that cycle that's perpetuating itself where, you know, I go so hard all the time, even though I know I need to
Mhm.
rest. I have a hard time prioritizing that, right? Let's be real for a sec. And it backfires. Like, it's never a good idea. But
Yeah.
sometimes we feel like we're stuck in that cycle of we can't get out of it. We have to do one more thing. Even when I'm resting here at home in the evening, oftentimes I'm actually like creating Instagram content while I lay on the couch and pretend to watch TV. Like, is there true rest happening? I don't know.
Actually, good point because I learned recently that rest not necessarily is the same as sleeping or zoning out or avoiding something, right? Because
Yes.
how many times you even go to sleep and you wake up and you don't feel rested, right?
Yes. I feel like there's such a difference between resting and zoning out.
Uh-huh.
And scrolling like Instagram or TikTok isn't rest unless you're feeling restorative because
Exactly.
of that. And even then, like, I think we need to talk about how rest can be physical, it can be mental, emotional, or even spiritual,
Yes.
you know?
You know what's super restful for me, believe it or not, and I guess this could be like physical rest, is I love going for a massage. I know not
Ooh,
everybody likes, I
yes.
have a lot of friends that would never go for a massage. They don't like the idea of anybody touching them and stuff. In my case, that's a time that I try to quiet my mind as much as I can, but even if I'm thinking about the 20 things I need to do, my body is like having a moment of rest, and I do feel rested afterwards.
I'm super excited because one of my besties and I, we go to King Spa every year, which if you've never been to like a Korean spa, this place is the place.
Isn't the one that you told me about not long ago or not?
Yes. And
Oh,
they do massages and facials and body scrubs. I'm doing a body scrub this week. There's hot tubs and saunas and
yeah.
that is super restful for me. There's like rooms that are just quiet with like meditation type music
Mhm,
playing that you can just sit there. You could be in the pool. You could get like active
mhm,
movement in the pool if you wanted to. Like rest is all about feeling restorative. And for me, having that hour-ish drive down there with my friend and we're chatting the whole time about life and kids and whatever, that is like emotionally restorative to me, socially restorative, and then
yes.
actually giving my body physical rest where I'm
Mhm.
sweating and relaxing and having people rub all over me, like I'm into it.
I don't know how that sounds. Rub all over me.
Yeah, that's it sounds weird, but it's on the up and up, I promise.
But listen, I'm thinking that even we've talked about this before, even the people that we choose to be around, ask yourself, are they restorative people or not? Right? Is it people that make you feel rested, or it makes you feel drained? Because even you were talking about social rest is leaning into those nourishing relationships, right? And even taking a break from draining relationships, think about it, that is rest. You're
Yes,
taking a rest.
100%. I have friends that, like my friend I'm going to the spa with, man, we just being in the same car is like
Mhm.
restorative for us. And I have
Exactly.
other friends who I love dearly, but I definitely feel like I have to be more on with
Mhm.
them.
Yeah.
And like I do think there's restful people and then there's like not restful people. I
But it's
see
in.
this in my work too at the gym, right? Like some of my clients like really fill my cup and
Mhm.
other clients I'm pouring my cup into them, which is
Mhm.
absolutely my job and I'm happy to do it, but there's definitely a difference in how I feel at the end of the day.
Yes. And that's the key. That's the definition of rest, is how you feel afterwards. And it doesn't have to be that you're not doing anything, actually, because going out with a friend that you feel restored or whatever it is at the end, it counts. I'm even thinking about emotional rest is, creating spaces to express your real feelings. Like, what are those people that you can actually talk about your real feelings and you don't have to be pretending or saying something to not hurt anybody else? That's probably rest. You're taking a break from having to be always on for others.
Absolutely. I think that rest is resistance, right? We're choosing to rest is an act of defiance in a world that profits off of our burnout.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I think this could be like super meaningful to actively choose rest and recovery.
Yes. I
And we
agree.
see this in the gym all the time, right? Like muscles aren't built in the gym. They're built when you're sleeping and you're recovering from what you did in the gym.
Oh, I
You
didn't
know,
know that.
yeah, totally. So
Huh.
in the gym, we are actually like tearing our muscle fibers on the subcellular level. So as we're doing our exercises, this is part of what creates soreness, right? We're like ripping our muscle cells on a very micro level, right? It's not like your arm is ripped in half. But then eating afterwards and sleeping that night is when our body goes, all right, let's fix the muscles. And so we kind of sew them up, right? Our little employees go marching out to sew up the muscle cells that we've ripped during our workout, and then they get bigger and stronger.
You see, maybe
Right.
that's why I don't want to lift weights, because I don't want to rip any muscles, Tara. That's going to be my new tagline of why I don't like exercising.
I promise it sounds creepy, but it's good. I promise. This is also true when we're like sick, right? That's why we sleep a lot when we're sick. Our
Yeah.
body needs that time
Oh,
to
yeah.
recover. When we're growing, like my son slept like
Mhm.
13 hours last night, and today, I swear to God, he looked taller. You
Well, he
know?
looks taller. That's true. I told you last time I saw him, but your body asks for it.
Yes.
Because, most of the healing also happens when you're sleeping. Physical
Yes.
healing, even emotional healing. It's important to rest, to have that break from activity.
I think that like the mental rest too, like taking a break from screens,
Oh yeah.
taking a break from, you know, like your job and doing something creative maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Like tuning out of what you normally do and tuning into like creative play or journaling,
Mm-hmm.
therapy, anything like that. Even like crying in your car if
Yeah.
that's what you need that day. Like I feel
Yeah.
like that is rest for
Yeah.
our mental and emotional health.
You know what? Something that is really productive for me is now that I work from home, I take breaks where I go and I hug my dog. Like that poor dog that keeps up with me, but he's like in the couch and I come and I give him a hug and a kiss and I smell his ears and his paws because I love smelling my dog's ears and paws. And that is for me, that is rest. Hey, have you guys ever heard that actually supposedly dog's paws smells like Cheetos?
Yes, Marcus says that all the time. He says they smell like Fritos.
Oh, Fritos, Cheetos, same thing. So, yeah, they have a specific smell, and I think it's a good smell. I mean,
I have
you're
to
all
say, if I was going to smell anything on my dog, the paws and the ears would be right up there with the butt.
no, no,
Yeah, I
because
don't
I
want to
don't.
smell my dog ever.
Well, I've never smelled my dog's butt. I mean, if you want to do that, be my guest. I'm talking about ears and paws. But for me to go bother my dog is rest because it is that break from what I have to do, and I like it. It makes me feel restored after I go hug him, then to come back and do what I need to do.
Yes. I think that that actually is kind of like spiritual health even. Like for me, I get my spiritual recovery from like having time in nature or like
Mhm.
meditation, quiet connection, praying, whatever, church. But I think that like for you, like that could totally be like a spiritual connection with some other being, the being
Yeah.
being your dog.
Hey, let me point out that Elizabeth has been awfully quiet during this episode. I think she's taking a rest from us, Tara. So this is great because Elizabeth has been resting from the two of us during this episode. So appropriate because we're talking about rest. How about that? Can you put a break on your rest and say hi to everyone?
Yeah, okay, so I'll just disclose that I was late to the episode. So thank you, Maria, for calling that out gently. And I know that the topic is rest, and Maria's got a weird thing going on with her dog's ears and paws, and otherwise, I don't know. Not sure what I'm supposed to be contributing yet.
So we've
No.
kind of been talking about how rest is an act of resistance. We're choosing
Mm,
defiance in a world that like profits off of our burnout.
Yeah,
And
I
we
love
were
that.
talking about like the difference between rest and zoning out and how it can be physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, that kind of thing. So I actually think that like reminding our listeners that your worth isn't measured in your output
oh,
is
yeah.
like really meaningful, Like it's okay to
Yes.
rest. We
Yeah.
need it.
Yeah.
Like I said at the beginning, that even many of us feel guilty after resting because it's like a waste of time or we weren't being productive. And you actually were. You were being very productive because your body needs that restoring or, feel
Your
restored to
cells are
be.
thanking you for that rest
Yeah.
and your mind, right?
Yes.
I think a lot of times we feel guilty, right? When we practice rest, like there's always something else on the to-do list that we need to get done. So, a couple like tips that I have for people is like schedule it. Schedule it
Yeah.
like any other priority,
Yeah.
Give it a definition. What does restorative rest look like for you?
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Elizabeth, do you have a way that you like to rest?
Do I have a way that I like to rest? Yes, reading is definitely restful for me. I really love, I guess these are kind of like micro moments of rest, I guess I would say, but like looking at my plants is restful for me. Like I like to go around and look at them and check up on what's blooming and what's not blooming and how things are
Mm-hmm.
growing, and also just sort of like take a moment. I'm like a huge outdoor person. And so sitting outside in the sunshine and just kind of watching nature go by. In fact, at this very moment, I'm looking at someone sitting down at the dock in my neighbor's backyard, just kind of sitting there. I don't, oh, maybe he's
Mhm.
actually fishing, but I've been sitting here just thinking how envious I am of that. That is my idea of rest, going out and sitting in the sunshine and just kind of soaking it all in. I'm not a good napper.
I was gonna say for me, it's naps. When I have the chance to take a nap, it's really good. I mean,
I want to do what Elizabeth does. Like that is really restorative for me, especially if I'm like have my feet in the sand and I'm overlooking the water. Like that is my happy place for sure. But in real life, I'm a napper.
Yeah.
I can nap anywhere, anytime.
I
mhm.
wish, I mean, sometimes I would like to be a napper. I just really can't fall asleep during the day, and I'm a very light sleeper. So if anything happens, I'm instantly gonna wake up. But
Mhm.
I'm also really good at falling asleep like 2 minutes before my alarm goes off and then waking up cranky.
Yes.
something that I've been working on really for many years, I started to notice it when my kids were small and I was a stay-at-home mom for a long time, that I felt like I couldn't rest during the week. And so
Yeah,
if it was a weekday, I felt like I always needed to be doing something, quote unquote, productive. And then on the weekends, I had no problem resting. And then I realized that that was actually stupid and I needed to rest during the week as well. And so it's interesting to think about the sort of random rules we put on
Mhm.
ourselves around rest.
totally. We see this in fitness so often. We have all these mantras of like no days off, grind now, shine later, go
Pain,
hard or
no
go
gain.
home.
Yeah,
Like,
those things all stink.
they're so harmful, especially to women.
Mhm.
Women and moms who already feel like extra pressure to like do all the things. I just think it's really super toxic. And then making sure that you remember that like you're worthy of rest no matter what. No matter if you're a mom, no matter if you're
Yeah,
in a
and you don't
larger
have to earn
body,
it.
no matter whatever, you're worthy and you deserve it. I hope this encourages you to rest a little bit more in your life, maybe schedule some rest in. If no one's told you lately, you don't need to do more to be worthy. You don't need to grind yourself into the ground to be successful. You're allowed to rest. So if this episode hit home for you, like share it with your people and hopefully we'll kind of bring back rest culture to society.
I like the way you phrased it. We're bringing back rest.
Bringing back rest. Hustle culture is out, resting culture is in.
Woohoo! Bring on the plants.
For all of our local listeners, are you tired of workouts that feel like punishment? Come sweat with me instead every Friday at 10:30 a.m. at the Leading Lady Collective, 2158 Reynard Court in Annapolis. It's 30 minutes of high-intensity joy. Yes, that's a thing. And it's only $90 a month. We lift, we laugh, and we occasionally question our life choices, but we always leave stronger and healthier. Hope to see you there.
Thank you for listening. If you want to connect with me outside of this podcast, you can find me on Instagram at coaching_therapist.
I'm Elizabeth. You can find me at Elizabeth Harris Nutrition or in my Facebook group, Health and Healing with Intuitive Eating.
And I'm on Instagram and Facebook at Tara De Leon Fitness. Guys, if you loved this episode or any of our other episodes, we would love it if you would leave us a review on Apple Podcast. It really, really helps us get the non-diet word out to the rest of the world. So please leave us a review.
Yes, thank you.